Hey guys, it's Mr. Dugal, and today we're going to talk about comparing rates with grade graphs and tables. Uh, when we're looking at comparing rates with a table, there's an actual term for that, and it's pretty simple. It's just called a rate table. And we have an example of that to our left. Just as a reminder, a rate is basically a ratio. So you might say 40 pages per 2 minutes. And if it were a unit rate, it would be simplified all the way down so the denominator was 1. So in this case, it would be 20 pages per 1 minute. So on our right, we have a unit rate, and to our left, we have a rate. All right, when we go to use a rate table, there are 3 different ways that we can use a rate table. The first way, and this is going to be your most simple way a lot of the times, but not all of the time, that is to find the unit rate and then use that unit rate to find the missing figures. So in this case, I can take any of my numbers. I have 30 seconds per 2 miles, or 45 seconds per 3, or 60 per 4. I'm just going to divide my seconds and my miles. So we're going to say, let's just do the most simple numbers, 30 seconds per 2 miles. And this equals 15 seconds per mile. My unit rate is 15 seconds per mile. Okay, now that I have that, I can take that 15 and I can just multiply times 15 for my remaining figures. So find the unit rate and multiply horizontally. Our second way that we can look at this is we can add vertically. And I can do this by, I notice that on the left, I'm just adding 1 every time. And because I'm adding 1, I can just look to the right and say, well, I'm adding 15. So 60 plus 15 is the same as 15 times 5. So both of these result in an answer of 75. 75 plus 15 is the same as 6 times 15, results in a total of 90. That's how a rate table works. There are 2 different ways to do it: finding a unit rate and multiplying horizontally, or adding vertically. Where adding vertically can get difficult, and you'll encounter this in the future, is if the left column over here, if this is not adding 1, if we end up adding 2 or 3, it can get a little more complicated. But for now, those are the 2 rules that you want to know. In terms of looking at rates on graphs, basically we're going to look at the graph over here. We have Miles's graph to the left and Jacob's to the right. And we need to evaluate which rate is higher. And what we need to think about with this is steeper graphs equal higher rates. And you'll learn in as we go later in middle school math that another word for steeper graph is higher slope. So the higher the slope, the steeper the graph, the higher the rate. We can tell that Miles's graph increases at a higher slope. Think about the word slope. We think about that a lot when we go skiing or snowboarding. They have slopes that you ride on. This would be a steeper slope to go up, or if we were looking at it backwards, a longer way to fall. Jacob's is a little less steep, which means that he has a lower rate, which means he also has a lower slope. Finally, our third question gives us a word problem. And I set this up so that you know that even if the problem doesn't give you a rate table, you can create your own pretty easily. In this question, it tells you that there's a Red Sox pitcher who is striking people out. And in the first 15 innings, he strikes out 30 batters. In the next 24 innings, he strikes out 48. And then it asks about what about 42 innings, how many there would be. So our two different units is innings and strikeouts. So for 58 innings, he has 30 strikeouts. I intentionally set this up so that on the second one, the innings come second, even though we have it listed first. Be really careful with that. That's a trick that tries to get pulled sometimes. Make sure that you're matching innings with innings. So innings needs to go to the left, 24 innings, 48 strikeouts. Finally, they give us 42 innings. I said earlier there were two ways to evaluate. One is to find unit rate and multiply horizontally. So unit rate would be 30 strikeouts divided by 15 innings equals 2 strikeouts an inning is my unit rate. So that's one way I can look at this. Multiply horizontally. The answer would be 84. The other way I could have done this is to add vertically. I notice on the left it's increasing by 9. So if I increase by 9 again, it gets me to 33 innings. Increase by 9 again, it gets me to 42. So if I didn't have this 84 already, I would notice on the right side it's increasing by 18, which means it needs to increase by 18 to match the 33 innings. That would be 66. And finally, it needs to increase by 18 one more time, which gets me to 84 strikeouts. Either way, the answer is 84. So that's how we evaluate graphs and tables when it comes to rates. Hopefully these steps will help you moving forward in the unit. Thanks so much.